Okay, so let's get into the coach. Let's get into Dobbo, who doesn't speak to you anymore.
No, I had two very nice voice notes from Dobbo. I must be honest, the first voice note started off saying, "Listen, James, if you want me to phone you back, you mustn't talk shit about me."
Yeah.
So sorry to say that on camera, but then we had quite an interesting banter.
Yeah, I don't think we've spoken shit about anybody this year. We've just been truthful.
Just been honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not a dishonest bone in either of our bodies.
No, Dobbo must.
Dobbo says you guys are talking shit, okay?
Sorry, Dobbo. This game has, it's got some it's got some subplots. You've got the Sharks, you got the Stormers, you got the province that were looking to do a deal with
MVM.
MVM. No. The Sharks have done a deal with MVM. Sia's supposedly reportedly leaving to the Sharks.
I've got confirmation of that, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah, so.
Okay. So he's.
Thanks, yeah, cheers.
He's leaving. You've got no kits off.
Yeah,
this has all the hallmarks for Dobbo season to end horribly. Saturday. I'm picking a Sharks victory.
Look, I'm going to say this. If you look at the entire game plan and the way they play, it's all been around the scrum dominance, keeping the guys, getting penalties at scrum time, taking the 3 points, going for the line-out drives, being quite successful at that. But without a kits off, I think it's massive. And then you've got Thomas Latoy who's back, who is also, he's just a beast at the moment. And I think if the Sharks are going to dominate at scrum time, they're going to negate that traditional province dominance.
Yeah.
Which is going to have to make them alter their game plan.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a particularly good game either. No. Semi-finals really are, or final. Sure. Mark, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think Kitsoff.
You're smiling there.
Kitsoff there, I would have said province definitely to shade it. He is.
Yeah, he's worth 5 points.
Just in the value. He was leader in carries, leader in hitting rucks, leader in taking the ball up, making second and making tackles. And that's outside of what he does particularly well, which is scrum. So, and the way he was leading the team in Sia's absence, I think he's a huge blow. I think it's going to be a very scrappy kind of two teams. I don't think one team's particularly that much more dominant than the other. And
who's captaining the side on?
It will be Sia. They haven't announced the side just yet, but with Sia coming back, it will be Sia, the captain side. I've got the Sharks to win this one, but to win it between 3 and 5. The province throughout the season and when they were playing as the Stormers, they've just never inspired me. I've never looked at any of their performance.
The first 4 weeks started off like any honeymoon in marriage.
I'm not talking about pre-lockdown. I'm saying the Super Rugby unlocked, and then this Currie Cup. I've just thought they're only there in the top 4 by default.
The rugby hasn't been pretty, it hasn't been attractive, it hasn't been good at all. But then again, I think at times the other sides also are responsible for that. But,
people like to, when they read a book, they read it from the beginning to the end. They like to know the story and the subplots and the character development. When you stop a season 4 games into the season, you shut the book, and then you put another book and say it's kind of like the other one, but yeah. So I can understand how it's been so discombobulated. But to me, Dobbo's not going to like me either. But he hasn't impressed me from a coaching point of view. I think the province should have taken a different tact. I think they should have, when all this talk about all the players and they wanted to leave and all, I would have just said go. and gone with a youth brigade and allowed Dobbo to work with that and not have all these.
So everyone doesn't want to be part of my system, go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially
they can drive out to Stellenbosch University and just bring those boys in.
I would have done that. Yeah. I wouldn't have been. You don't ever have a tail wagging the dog.
So now, if you also look at the lack of dominance that we perceive or believe without Kitsoff being there, that the province back will not dominate up front, potentially.
Well,
if you look at the 2 back lines, the Sharks are head and shoulders above in terms of playability and performance. You even look at one stage in the Super Rugby competition, the ability to attack from behind. You've got Kerwin Bosch, who controls the game well,
Yeah.
if he's going to keep pinning you in your own half, kicking you to the touchline, kicking those long range penalties, it's pretty much.
Absolutely, they'll build scoreboard pressure as well. You're right, James. I just don't. I like the Sharks, but like everybody, they've looked a little bit disjointed this year. But that's understandable in this year. But I think that a guy like Kitsoff is such an understated leader. It's I never really rated him as a leader until I've seen him play this year, and just watching the subtle things that he does.
He leads by example, and
Exactly.
I think that's where he gains that gravitas and that overall respect.
Yeah.
Is that he does lead from the front.
Yeah. I'm just because he's redheaded. You just sort of I've never seen a redheaded captain and stuff like that.
I've never seen a pretty redhead in my life either.
No, but no, but he's
Sorry to all the redheads out there.
but he's not your typical. He's not your typical captain, is he? He's quiet.
Well, you
he's
wouldn't,
unassuming.
yeah.
But his impact on the field in terms of his scrummaging, is in terms of his turnover ball, stopping teams from the gain line.
I look like when I played with Francois Pinot. Francois wasn't the most talented rugby player.
Was he your redhead?
I think he had a tinge, But he wasn't. But also Francois, to put it into perspective, was a leader from the front. He led by example. He would inspire and fire the team up, and I think that's what Kitsoff brings.
Well, you look at those. You got those sort of. Francois is definitely one of those guys. You've got Gary Teichmann. I'm not comparing. But I guess I am. I am comparing, obviously, but in terms of leadership. But Kitsoff is an understated leader. I think his absence from the game this week. I don't think that Sia should be captaining the Stormers, especially with one foot in the Sharks camp and all the stuff going around. I think if you want to have a battle cry, there's enough in this game to get to the Currie Cup semi-final to the final. But I just don't think. I think everything is set up for the Sharks to really put one over on the Province this weekend. I like the Sharks by 7+.
And what are the bookies saying?
The bookies, funny enough, Mark. I would probably say they've got the Stormers favored by 5.
So you're not saying Sharks to win and Sia to throw an intercept in the last 5 minutes?
or push over line out drive from the back.
Okay, so the Sharks, the bookies are saying that the Stormers are going to win by 3.5. So 4 more. So I would go for a Sharks outright win on this one. It pays 260, and I'll be putting down 1,000 rand on that.
I'll go with that as well.
Yeah.
Outright win, less than 5 points.
I'm a believer.
A Justin believer or just a believer? Who you picking, James?
No, it's Sharks.
So we're all unanimous on the Sharks.
I think
There's the headline for you now. So anybody there, go and bet on Stormers because we've been terrible all year.
Sure.
So I'm picking the Sharks. We're all picking the Sharks. Mm-hmm. I'm picking the Bulls by 10 or more.
I'm picking the Bulls by one score.
James?
I'm picking the Bulls by a win.
So it's unanimous. Bulls and Sharks Currie Cup final. Sorry, Double. Sorry, Province.
Well,
all good things.
We all got to fall on our sword at some stage. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Go out there and do the old lady proud. Give it one last 80 minutes in Newlands.
I'm sick of this old lady crap shit. It's like what a send off for the old lady. Huh? So, folks, there you have it. We've made our predictions. Sharks, Bulls, set up an interesting final. Where will the final be played?
Loftus.
At Loftus, huh?
Yeah.
So amidst all this, you know what I can say? Is the Springboks are still unbeaten for the year.
They haven't lost a game. They haven't lost. When's the last time the
They
Springboks
haven't lost a game in 50 months.
since New Zealand? Yeah. Interesting. Well, guys, thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, gentlemen. Be safe.
Enjoy the
Take care.
weekend.